everyone, and welcome to yet another Zoom episode of Topic Time with Harrison Young. It's been an incredible commodity to be able to use Zoom. I've done about a dozen shows last year, and now in the new year, we got another great guest here. He's in Middleton. He's a rocker. He's a Jimi Hendrix tribute player, and he loves his own tunes. And we're going to have him play and talk to him in a few minutes. But before we do that, we got to meet these great underwriters, and then we will proceed per usual. So we got Shoreshine Professional Detailing in Abington. I was looking for new talent. We got Lynch's Towing Auto Cycle and Truck Center in Brockton. We got Autotown Auto Glass installed in Abington. We got Panda Auto Group in Abington. They're a new one. We got Pacini's Pizza in Middleborough. They deliver. We got John's Greenhouses and Florist Shop in Brockton. We got Mixed Nutrition in Pembroke. No phone number yet. They're new. We got Squid's Ink Tattoo in Pembroke. We got Something for Your Dust in Plymouth. We got Double Horse Bistro in Abington. They're new. We got Premier Martial Arts in Raynham. We got Maggie's Cuts in Kingston. We got A1's Tire and Auto Center in Brockton, always in search of new service techs and writers. We got Salon Giovanni in Marshfield. We got Vape Solutions in East Bridgewater. We got Crazy Axe's Rec Center in Hanover. We got Genuine's Inspection in Middleborough. We got Furnace Brook Motors in Easton. We got Tom Auto in Middleborough. We got the Cornerstone Barber Shop in Pembroke. We got Pembroke Radiator in Pembroke. We got Wicked Healthy Natural Foods and Supplements in Kingston. We got Bryantville Family Chiropractic in Pembroke. Dr. John Steves. With Dr. John Steves, we got MP Sports Cards in Carver, right up the road, down the road. We got Dave's Automotive in Hanson on Route 58. That's all down the road. That is actually down the road. We got South Shore Trains and More in Pembroke. We got Ocean Street Auto Repair and Service in Marshfield. We got Doggy Boutique, All Beat Professional Grooming in Brockton, run by my great next door neighbor, Debbie Siddell. We got Easton Fitness in Easton, and in the Village Shops, we got Grant's Rental in Bridgewater, and we got Joe's Diner in Taunton. I want to thank you guys very much. And now I'll finally introduce this gentleman goes by, what is it, Wolfman Bob?
No.
Say it again.
We had that conversation already.
Bob,
It's
we did have it.
Just Bob Wolfman.
Just Bob Wolf. All right, why do I say
No.
Wolfman?
Bob Wolfman.
Bob
W-
Wolfman.
W-
Your name is actually Wolfman.
My real name, a lot of people think it's a made-up stage name. It's my real God-given name.
You seem like you have the personage to possibly be an iconic DJ as well as a musician.
Really interesting.
You heard
Well,
at that time, right?
But yeah, I did. It's funny you say that because I actually was a TV and radio production major in college for a couple of years.
Oh, cool. What college was that?
New York Institute of Technology. NYIT.
Okay.
NYIT.
Awesome.
NYIT. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, and did you ever take it to the next level and work at any TV station after you graduated?
I've been the talent on many radio stations and shows and TV shows over the years, but I never hosted. I was never the MC or disc jockey. No, I DJ. I was a guest disc jockey a couple times in my life, but that's it.
Okay. Let's talk about like what I do with every guest, regardless of whether they're with me in person or in a Zoom situation, because I try to find out what they were like growing up and how they got to where they're at now. So tell me about what you were like as a kid. What did you do? Did you aspire? When did you start aspiring to music? And then other things that you might have done, and if they're pertinent, and then we'll take it from there. I'll ask more questions as I see fit. So go ahead.
Okay.
I'm like a detective piece in a puzzle here.
As you see fit. Okay.
Yes.
So actually, I'm trying to get fit after COVID for a year.
Wow.
I grew up in the Bronx in New York City, pretty tough
Okay.
neighborhood, kid in the streets. Was always into music from the time I was very little, from the time I was probably an infant. I was always singing, playing, always had toy instruments. Got into clarinet in grade school, second, third grade. Then was picked along with like 25 other kids to go into a orchestral music program in junior high school when I was in the sixth grade. So I was in the OM class, orchestral music, in seventh and eighth grades, the beginning of junior high school. Then I got thrown out in the ninth grade because me and the teacher didn't see eye to eye too well.
I know that
But
feeling.
I grew up in an incredibly musical neighborhood. I mean, so many people on my street played music. So many kids from my neighborhood have become some of the biggest names in music. The very
Cool.
big names in the music industry. And I started playing clarinet, like I said, in grade school, switched to guitar when I was 11, 12. I still had to play clarinet and oboe in junior high school at that age, but I mean, I really wasn't that into it. I was really hooked on guitar. And of course, when Hendrix came along, Cream, Clapton, and my other hero, Jeff Beck, it was off to the races. I mean, I knew that's what I wanted to do as my career, my profession.
So he was your inspiration. He was the one who decided to make it turn it from a hobby in the neighborhood to a career in the world.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I mean, I was jamming all the time. every day after school, came home, playing along with records for hours, staying up all night playing, especially on the weekends. Would stay up till the sun came up. I mean, dozens of jam sessions every week, every month in my neighborhood. Then the 5 boroughs, go to Manhattan, made friends in Queens, Brooklyn. I mean, I became friends with a lot of big name musicians from Queens. And Leslie West, Mountain from Forest Hills, Queens, followed so many of the bands that were formed back in the 60s and 70s in New York City, jammed with people all the time, did concerts in the park, did battles of the bands, did concerts all around New York City in colleges. And then when I was in my teens, started playing in the Borscht Belt, the Jewish hotels up in the Catskill Mountains.
Oh, no kidding.
The big I'm having a senior moment here, forgive me, mental block. Just all the big hotels,
Okay.
But there's a word.
Upscale 5-star hotels, right?
Yeah, some of them weren't all necessarily that 5-star, but they were decent back in the day. But I got to see all the great comedians, Pat Cooper and Henny Youngman, and of course Jackie Mason, and
But did you get to work with those guys on stage? Is that it?
I got to open up for a lot of them,
Cool.
Or they opened up for the bands that I was playing at.
I actually met Henny Youngman at a party at a family function. My mother hired him out when my father turned 55 back in 1990.
No kidding.
I walked into the room wearing a green flannel T-shirt and kind of a red bow tie, and he goes, "You're the best pool table I ever saw."
I take my wife everywhere. She finds a way home.
He's not that friendly though. At least he wasn't. And then I told him a joke. I said, people think I must be a mushroom because everyone thinks I'm a real fun guy, and he didn't laugh. Right. I thought it was pretty funny.
He probably didn't get it. Honestly, God, he probably didn't get it.
You got it, right?
Of course I did. I've heard the joke 1,000 times. He probably
didn't get it. He might have made it up, and he was mad at me for plagiarizing it. Who knows?
I doubt that he made it up.
He was after all, the godfather of stand-up comedy, and that includes jokes. The most corny jokes in history were probably put forth by in his mind when he was thinking about his wife.
Right. My favorite.
Starting with her and then working his way downward if possible.
For my money, Pat Cooper, Jackie Mason, probably two of the funniest human beings.
That's right, Jackie Mason. He's from Bronx too?
Yeah, I think he was from Brooklyn, but
yeah.
Anyway, I forget. He may have been from Bronx or Manhattan even. But Rodney was also my favorite, but he didn't really do much up in the Catskill Mountains as far as I recall. He was
okay.
Tonight Show, Vegas and New York City, and I don't know, places all around the country. But anyway, getting back to music, I'm a spoiled brat because by the time I was 15, 16, I got picked up by this producer who actually lived in the Bronx also. He used to pick me up after high school and take me down to Manhattan to all these cool recording studios.
Okay.
I still remember the guy's name, Joe Simmons.
Want to name him? Who is it?
Joe Simmons.
Okay.
And, he was a producer, and I played like as a hired gun, lead guitarist for these singers, that were kind of like Al Green, Otis Redding type music. And I played B.B. King licks, like just blues stuff. And I was still like 15, 16 years old. I'm playing stuff like.
Oh, yeah. That's B.B. King, all right.
And pretty sloppy there. But I also got to know all the big name studio musicians in New York City that played on pretty much every record you and I grew up with. Whether it was Stevie Wonder, David Bowie, The Average White Band, Carly Simon, Carole King, James Taylor. I could go on for hours. Will Lee, the bassist from the David Letterman Show, Hiram Bullock, guitarist, who's on so many records from that era, was my roommate for a while. I just got to know so many great musicians. My mentor, Larry Coryell, for my money, the greatest jazz guitarist who ever lived. I got to meet George Benson, Chick Corea's band. I got to work with Chick for a brief period of time. There was so much incredible music being made then. 1969 into the late 70s. It was just unbelievable.
I know. I remember right through those years too.
I was out hearing music, sitting in at jam sessions or at clubs, big concerts, backstage, recording sessions, rehearsal studios, all-night jam sessions at people's houses, lofts, all over Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, New Jersey. I mean, for years, 4, 5, 6 nights a week. The Beacon Theater, Avery Fisher at New York Philharmonic, Lincoln Center, The Bottom Line. Of course, there's a Fillmore East back in the day. I mean, from one end of Manhattan to the other. So I really consider I'm spoiled because I just had such an incredibly rich environment to grow up in, and to learn from. And so many of these people mentored me. The biggest names in the music business took me under their wing, treated me like I was their nephew, their little brother, their son. They got me gigs. I mean, they fed me. It gave me exposure. They helped my career. And then I moved to Boston, and I'm playing with all these, cats who think they're like big fish in a little pond that weren't always so nice and nice and respectful and warm and friendly. There was always this, even if they didn't play guitar, which I play, I'm a guitarist. A lot of them were very competitive, backstabbing. Even if they played another instrument, it was just a totally different vibe. You got people.
All right. Well, you came up to Boston. No, look, we're about 10 minutes through the show. And when we get to, as I told you, when like 1/3 of the show, I'm going to ask that you do, play a couple of songs for us.
Sure.
And, talk about them first. Let us know if they're originals, covers, or what. And then we'll talk about them. And then when we conclude the interview, we'll talk about, what your deal is, why you're in Boston now, and what was that all about. So you want to play something?
Sure. The most significant thing I want to promote is my new Jimi Hendrix tribute album.
Okay. All right.
So should I do that now, later?
Sure, go ahead. And
Okay.
then you can play something if you want.
Well, you have to promote like a what in my business.
I do.
But I just released last Friday, January 14th, I released a new tribute album to my mentor, hero, and friend,
Okay.
Jimi Hendrix, the great Jimi Hendrix. No one ever like him before, during, or after his short-lived life. I became friends with him when I was 15. I met him at Manny's Music on Music Row. It used to be called Music Row, 48th Street, Manhattan. I can't believe it's gone now. It's so unfathomable to me. It's really like surreal. It doesn't exist anymore. It's gone.
It's been going for over 50 years.
Yeah, Manny's Music was a huge music store. I met Jimmy there on a Friday afternoon at closing time. I can still hear the rolling security gates being pulled down, clunk, 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 It's closing time 5:30, but a friend of mine and I got on the train after school on a Friday afternoon, got on the subway, took the train down to Manhattan. When we spent a lot of time on 48th Street, the music stores when I was a kid, my teens, early 20s. And we were friendly with all the salesmen. So it's 5:30 closing time, but they let us hang out after they pulled the security gates down because we knew everybody. We were friendly. So we're with Mickey, the drum salesman behind the drum counter. He looked just like Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. He had the same earrings, same haircut, the same snakeskin boots, the same messed up teeth, and everything. And he's leaning over the drum counter talking to me and my drummer. And all of a sudden he looks up towards the front entrance and he goes, "Oh, just Jimmy." And I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, like a Flintstones cartoon, did a triple take, Oh my God, it's Jimi Hendrix, right? So Jimmy floats to the back of the store where the owner of the store was standing there like he did often on Friday nights, because that's Jimmy would come in then because they were closed. There was no customers to hassle him. So he had 3 white Fender Stratocasters strewn across the glass display cabinets all the way in the back of the store. And me being the precocious, impetuous, and sometimes obnoxious teenager that I was, I walked over and was listening to the conversation, right? So they were talking about customizing, hot wiring the pickups on Jimmy's Fender Stratocaster, right? To make them hotter. Now, I was a solder jockey from the time I was 12. I was building like shortwave radios and color TVs when I was in summer camp, right? Okay. So I butt into the conversation. The owner of the store is like W.C. Fields from an old movie. Go away, Sonny, you draw flies, you bother me. Yeah, it was that kind of vibe, right? Jimmy didn't care. Jimmy started engaging in a conversation with me about the pickups. Next thing I know, he puts his arm over my shoulder. We turn around, we walk out the front of the store. My friend comes and meets us. We walk out of the store, they close up, and he took us out to dinner. Took us to a steakhouse restaurant for dinner. And then after we closed the place, we're there like 11 o'clock at night. Then we hopped in a cab, went down to his flat in the Village and played till like the sun came up the next morning, hung out. So it was amazing. So when Jimmy died, to put it mildly, I was devastated. I was like catatonic for over a month. I couldn't talk. I was devastated. Jimmy was the most significant, important thing that ever occurred in my lifetime. And the analogy I use in all the interviews, the reviewers I've had write up lately, I quote Keith Richards from the Stones saying in the 1960s, it's like everything went from black and white to Technicolor. That's how Jimmy was for me, how I experienced his music. When I heard it, it was like everything changed. And I decided this is what I got to do for my life, my profession.
Okay.
So I promised when he passed, I swore I was going to do a tribute album for him, you know, and it was always something. I got married, I raised children, I had my music school, I was touring, I was on the road, money issues. I finally decided, I said, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So just before COVID hit, and I was planning on doing it in honor of Jimmy's 50th anniversary, you know, from the time of his passing, for his birthday, I was going to do the tribute album, but COVID happened. So it was a year that wasn't. So it took me 2 years to get this record finished. It's called Tribute to a Friend. I'm really proud of it. John Butcher Axis fame, produced it, did an amazing job.
Wish you could get him on my show.
Well, you can call him up, you know.
I heard he knows. He knows. I've been talking to him for about 4 years about it.
Oh, well,
maybe you could put in a word for me after this show.
Okay. Well, I certainly will do that.
Okay.
4 years, huh? Interesting.
About that, yeah.
Well, he's a busy guy. I'll say that much. He really is. But I have some other really big names on the record. Sonny Landreth plays some amazing slide work. Mark Egan, who's played with Sting, Joan Osborne. You know, he's played with everybody. I mean, there's lists like over 100 big name people.
Okay. Well, I was wondering if you wanted to perform something before, you know, because we were talking about.
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
So I did not do this song on the album, although my son was nagging me for a year and a half. Dad, you got to do Little Wing. It's my favorite tune. It's the best. Jimi Hendrix tune. Everybody's done Little Wing. The point is, on my album, I tried to do much more obscure songs that almost no one has covered, you know. But the point is, for this purpose, for this kind of performance on your show, just playing acoustic guitar, to do the songs that we did in the record, they really, to do them right, you got to do them with the band Electric.
Okay, well, do the best you can by yourself. I'm sure you sounded great warming up.
Thank you. But I want to tell people out there in TV land, they can download my music. They can purchase a CD from my website, bobwolfman.com, or they can go to links on Facebook on my Bob Wolfman Band page. And I hope everybody knows that I'm going to be doing my first CD release party for my Tribute to a Friend album for Jimi Hendrix on Sunday, March 27th at 5 p.m. It's an early show. There's no football. COVID should be died down by then. There's no holidays or anything like that. It's an early gig on a Sunday. Weather should be nice. So it's going to be at Breakaway on Route 1. It's a big rock club on Route 1 in Danvers, Massachusetts, northbound side of Route 1. Again, it's Breakaway March 27th, Sunday, March 27th at Breakaway in Danvers, Massachusetts at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Tickets are on sale as of today through the Breakaway website, breakawaydanvers.com. And anyway, this song I did not record in the album, much to my son's disappointment. This is a classic by Jimmy called Little Wing. And well, I hope everybody likes it.
Go for
I
it.
haven't played this on acoustic in a long, long time. So anyway. Well, she's walking through the clouds with a circus mind that's running round. Butterflies and zebras and moonbeams and fairy tales. That's all she thinks about, riding with the wind. When I'm sad, she comes to me with 1,000 smiles she gives to me free. It's all right, she says, it's all right. Take anything you want from me, anything at all.
Well, that was swell. Well, tell me why. All right, so you felt that you came to Boston that the musicians were a little bit more cutthroat, but you're still here. So what was that about?
Well, I love Boston. I mean, I moved to New Jersey for 2 years in '07, but I came back. I couldn't wait to get back.
Why did you come to New England from
Well,
the
I
Bronx?
came to Boston. I'd been touring for years. When I lived in New York City, I went to Europe. I went all over the place for years
Okay.
with a lot of blues, rock, and jazz stars, and came back to New York City. And God bless him, my dad, the first time since he got out of World War II, he was a drill instructor, Army Air Force, Master Sergeant, stripes.
Okay.
He was tough. He was an architect in New York City. He was out of work for the first time in his entire life for 9 months. Really bad recession going on then.
Right.
So of course there was no music work to be had. There was no gigs. I come back from off the road for 4 years. I'm touring and everything, making great money. There's no work to be had. I was supposed to come to Boston to go to Berklee College of Music as soon as I graduated high school. But I had all the paperwork filled out. I was going to go. My parents wanted me to go. But I had the opportunity to go on the road and tour with people. They're like, okay, Wolfie, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to school? Or do you want to come on the road and play great music and make good money playing your favorite music with all your favorite musicians? So the rest is history, as they say. But I come back to New York City, late 74, 75. I was out of work for like a year and a half. I said, screw it. I'm going to Berklee. So I moved to Boston to start Berklee College of Music and graduated in '80. And, I love New England. Of course, there were so many places to play music back then. There were so many clubs. It was ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, I was playing 4, 5, 6 nights a week. I was paying my rent with less than what I made in a week's salary. you
Wow.
know? And it was great. I had a great wardrobe of clothes. I had a sports car. I had a really nice place to live in Cambridge. It was a great time. And I mean, I love the people. I've always loved New England and Boston, but I'm saying in the school environment, in a music school, you know what I mean? And
Right.
then, with gigging too, of course, as the club started closing and the whole scene started to contract rather than expand, people would get more cutthroat, of course,
Right.
But, a lot of it has to do with the personality of musicians or artistic personalities, eccentric, egotistical, insecure, threatened by other people, jealous, And the thing is, when I was at Berklee, they all knew who I'd played with. So half the
Right.
people there treated me with incredible respect and love.
Okay.
And the other half treated me with disdain. What are you going to do?
Wow. Okay. Well, guess
And
what? We're down to
and it's that way to right now, this day. I went to a jam last night and even ran into a bit of that.
okay. Well, we're down to the final 5 minutes of the show. We made it go by fast.
Oh, well. Thank
Okay.
you.
So, like I asked you at the beginning, what I told you at the beginning is I just got indicated it was down to 5 minutes. Look at your computer, give shouts out to people that are going to see the show. You can start with John Butcher, I guess, and then work your way, family, friends, whatever, and all the people that you named before. And then we'll wrap the show up the way we began it with my music. So go ahead.
So what am I doing now? Playing
You're
another
giving
song?
shouts out to people that are going to see
Oh,
the show.
shouts out.
Yeah, we condense them,
Well, shout out to
all the people you named if you want.
of course, John Butcher, all the guys in my band, Bruce Mattson, Barry Litt, my drummer who did a phenomenal job, Wolf Fernandez on bass, Ronnie Belbin on bass, Mark Egan on bass, Sonny Landreth on slide guitar. My engineers, Warren Babson from Bang a Song in Gloucester, Massachusetts, Kenny Lewis in Middleton, Massachusetts, phenomenal engineer. I love him, but he did my album that I did with Larry Coryell called Transition. He does all my recording stuff, aside from this album. what's his name? Joel Edinburgh from Q Division in Somerville. I got to do a shout out to my publicists, Jill Kettles down in Nashville, Sue Claire here in Boston. I got to do a shout out to all my friends and fans,
Okay,
people who supported me through the years, my students from my school, Wolfman School of Music.
okay,
I should promote the fact that I teach and I have a music school, wolfmansmusic.com.
okay.
I don't know. I guess, of course, my family goes without saying, but they're pretty
Okay.
important.
All right, well, you did a great job. I hope you had fun.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
What I'm going to ask is, you hang around after we wrap the show up to take some pictures and make sure you get all your graphics the way you want them. Is that all right?
Excellent. I prefer that. Thank you.
If you know anybody that's interesting and has this, a good background with a story to tell, music, whatever, have them text me. We'll get them on as well.
Sure. Okay. We'll do
All
it.
right, we're going to wrap the show up. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, folks, thanks for watching Topic Time. More great episodes to follow. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.